In history, there has been a force that made the whole world believe that powdered cow's milk mixed with sugar is super good, much better than breast milk many times over. Even though that means deliberately feeding babies inadequate nutrition. I think that's the most barbaric act humans can do. Yet for some people, it's no big deal as long as it helps them build the largest food empire in the world. It's nothing if we ignite one of the worst medical scandals of the 20th century, and I don't know if I'll be targeted for this video or not. However, I made this video to expose Nestle. Alright, how do you convince everyone to believe in the most devilish lies of all time? Your weapon is here. Advertising. I'm talking about normal consumers, those who just don't have the time and knowledge to understand the products they buy. They'll mimic what others do. Those who want to look cool will see what celebrities use, and those concerned about health will see what doctors use. And Nestle realized this truth. It's simple. If you want to convince everyone that formula is better than breast milk, just let the doctors tell consumers that. Let's start with Nestle's advertising campaign in the 1970s. It's not complicated at all, just have doctors on the media say that formula is good, breast milk is not. You didn't miss here. That's the most devilish lie I've ever heard. And you know what's even more devilish? They specifically targeted poor, underdeveloped countries at that time, mainly in Asia and Africa. They even dressed brokers like hospital nurses, had these fake nurses distribute samples, and give medical advice. Nestle took advantage of the innocence and lack of understanding of the people in poor countries. What's more devilish than telling these malnourished people that our products are extremely good for your children? Even though sometimes you don't know you have to boil water before mixing the formula. And I don't care if your water source is contaminated or not. And the consequence is, reports like this appear. Nestle is blamed for the malnutrition and deaths of infants and children in poor countries. Of course, they had their escape route prepared. Think about how many mothers in Africa could read English in the 1970s. On July 4, 1977, a Nestle boycott was launched in the US, and it spread throughout Europe. And in the early 1980s, it was one of the landmark events of human history in the 20th century. The Nestle boycott, especially targeting the relationship between human rights issues, humanitarian activities with corporate ethics and market capitalism. However, Nestle has an even more serious problem. Whether the water is dirty or not, the powdered milk mixed with sugar and vegetable oil they sell cannot replace breast milk because it lacks the essential nutrients to boost immunity, and it's not enough for babies to develop normally. So in 1981, the World Health Organization issued regulations prohibiting the comparison between breast milk and substitute formula. However, once again, Nestle skirted the law by focusing on less regulated markets like Southeast Asia, for example. So, in the US and Europe, Nestle declares breast milk is number one, while in other markets, they continue to bribe doctors, advertise, give out free samples, and run advertising campaigns in hospitals. And they're still doing that until now. However, the devilry doesn't stop there. We have this, have a break, have a Kit Kat, right? Where do these chocolates come from? Chocolate is a product mainly derived from the cocoa tree grown mainly in regions such as West Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Two West African countries, Ghana and Ivory Coast, are the main cocoa suppliers, accounting for over 70% of the world's cocoa production. Cocoa is harvested on farms in these countries, most of which are sold to major chocolate manufacturers like Nestle. The problem is cocoa isn't cheap, but they want it to be cheap. So farm owners have used child labor to make cocoa prices more competitive. Most children in West Africa come from impoverished backgrounds, due to extremely difficult circumstances, coupled with promises of high wages from human traffickers. Many children have been deceived into working on cocoa farms in remote areas. Traffickers often lure, or even kidnap, young children from villages in African countries like Burkina Faso and Somalia, two of the poorest countries in the world. Once the children are brought to cocoa farms, the chance of reuniting with their families is very slim. Estimates suggest there are over 2 million child laborers on cocoa farms, with most aged between 12 and 16 years old. However, recent investigative reports have found that many children have to start working as young as 5 years old. At 5 years old, they have to use machetes to clear forest trees, climb trees to pick cocoa pods with machetes. Moreover, they have to carry bags of cocoa pods weighing over 45 kilograms out of the forest, and then each child has to use a machete to open the pods to extract the beans. On their bodies, they bear scars, mostly on their hands, feet, or shoulders. Each year, the chocolate industry earns about $100 billion, but in 18 years, they've only spent $148 million to address child labor issues. So, be cautious when eating Kit Kat. They may be made from the blood of children in West Africa. That's a horrifying video. However, let me finish the last part of the story. In the same year, in Africa, Ethiopia, one of the poorest countries in the world. In 2002, the country experienced one of the worst famines in human history. But what does this have to do with Nestle? In 1986, Nestle's territory acquired the parent company of a German company. The problem is, in the 1970s, it was nationalized by the Ethiopian government, meaning the Ethiopian government owed Nestle money. They proposed compensation to the conglomerate of $1.5 million, based on the exchange rate at the time of nationalization. However, Nestle insisted on using the exchange rate of 2022, and boom, the debt soared to $6 million. The incident was exposed when the Ocean Organization pointed out that a conglomerate like Nestle with $6 million was just a leech. But that $6 million could provide clean water for 1.5 million families, or treat diarrhea for 750,000 children. And most importantly, that year, Nestle pocketed a profit of $3.9 billion. However, instead of considering the ethics and social responsibility of the business, Nestle stubbornly demanded debt from a country experiencing the worst famine. Eventually, Nestle had to give in. But the accumulated bad reputation has been enough to turn them into the most hated corporation in the world. Despite being bitterly hated, regardless, Nestle remains the largest food empire in the world today. Yeah, everyone has to drink milk, drink water, and eat candy. I guess so. Nestle is also quite good at concealing this dark past. Nowadays, perhaps you don't pay attention to the Nestle name, but surely there are brands related to them in your home, some names you wouldn't even expect, because Nestle owns up to 2,000 brands. After watching this video, perhaps you will understand that the tree that would grow to heaven must send its roots to hell.